Okay, so I'm gonna just tell you about the time that I almost got kidnapped at 19 years old. So, like 5 years ago. It was like 8:30 at night. I had just gotten done my night class and I was on my way to my friend's house. Now, I needed to get her cash, so there was an ATM on the way that I was just gonna stop at. Now, when I get to this ATM, there is a car in front of it. And so I just pull up behind it and I'm waiting. And then suddenly I notice that the driver is getting out on the passenger side of the vehicle and slowly starts to approach my car. Now, this guy was definitely dressed in a suit, so I was like, okay. So I cracked my window just a little bit. He gets to my window and he's like, hey, my car won't start. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have jumper cable. Now, that was a lie, I do, but I was like, I don't know this guy, I'm not gonna help him. This is how murders happen. But there's that little subconscious in me that's like, Olivia, you're so dramatic, you're fine. But anyway, he goes, no, I have jumper cables. If you can just pull around, that would be great. So I was like, But then I realized I'm on Main Street, like nothing's gonna happen, whatever, I'll just pull around. So I pull the front of my car up to the front of his car and I pull the little latch. He kind of plays with it for a minute and he goes, hey, can you help me? I don't know how to do this. This is when I was like, But 19-year-old Olivia gets out of the vehicle to help him. So I open the hood, he puts the jumper cables on, and he starts his vehicle. He goes, thank you so much, my name's Chris, what's your name? My name's Olivia. He goes, thank you so much. I was like, yeah, it's no problem. I get in my vehicle, I back up, I go back around the bank. By the time I get back to the ATM, his car's gone. Now, I'm a poor college student, so I had to make sure that I even had the money in my checking account. So I pull up my mobile banking app, and I log in, and I do a transfer, and I get the cash that I need. Now, at this point, it's been 7 or 8 minutes, right? As I am leaving, I tell you that he is parked on the side. So as I drive by, I notice that he is on his phone and we make eye contact. Now there was just something that was telling me this isn't right, but at the same time, there's that little subconscious. It's like, you're fine. So I pull out of the bank and I take a right and I just kind of keep checking in my rearview mirror, Sure enough, he pulls out. Now I notice that it's him because he has a left headlight out, so I can spot him. And I start heading towards my friend's house. Now, on my way to my friend's house, I notice that he is still following me. I tell her I'm pretty sure he's following me, and she goes, okay, you need to take 3 left-hand turns. Do not come to my house, obviously. And I see a cop at the gas station. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can stop there. But then I realize I don't know for sure that he's following me. I just think that he's following me. So I drive by the cop, and I take 3 left-hand turns because that's what my friend told me to do. He does the same thing. So at this point, I go into full panic mode. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta call 911. Hang up with her, I call 911, I tell them everything. I'm like, this guy is following me. Bawling my eyes. At this point, I'm literally going back towards the bank where we all started. So I know for a fact he's following me now. I'm on the phone with the cops. I'm like, oh my gosh, like he's following me. I'm crying. I'm driving honestly really fast. And they are trying to get the cop to get to wherever we're at. And finally, I think that he realized that I realized he was following me. So he got off the exit of where the bank was. Finally, I see the cop, and so I pull over, and the cop approaches my car. I'm crying my eyes out. I'm telling him everything. And he goes, oh, yeah, I saw that guy with the headlight out. I went to go look for him. Where did you guys go? Because I had told him that we had passed the cop at the gas station, and he was like, oh, yeah, that was me. And anyway, so he was looking for the guy who had the headlight out, but because I took 3 left-hand turns, and the cop assumed, well, he must be going towards what's like known as the pier. So anyway, the cop was like, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to watch the video footage, try to get a copy of his license plate. Fortunately, the cop believed me because I felt like a total crazy person. And I was like, do you think you put a tracker on my car? And he was like, honestly, I don't think that he would have put a tracker on your car or he would have had like no reason to follow you. But the cop was really nice and he ended up following me back to my house that night. And anyways, I literally had major PTSD for like months every time I saw a vehicle with a headlight out. I'm sharing this story because it was a very clever way to be able to follow a female home. It wasn't like he was noticeably right behind me. Like he was like at least 200-300 yards away. So if I hadn't been keeping my eye out and wondering if he was following me, I really wouldn't have noticed and he would have known where I lived that night. And who knows what would have happened. So moral of the story is don't try to be a nice person. Protect yourself.
Here are some very creepy true stories that happened at Walmart. The first one is called The Lady in the Bee Costume. This is about an 18-year-old girl who worked the night shift at Walmart. And for some reason, precisely at 1:30 in the morning, like on the dot, she would get what she called the bumblebee as a visitor. The bumblebee was an old woman wearing a bee Halloween costume. She had a stinger, wings, and everything. And she was never outrageous with her behavior. She would never purchase anything. She was just a bee, and this employee never asked asked why, but always 1:30 in the morning. Next, we have a story about a magic 8-ball. This is about a little kid that was walking through Walmart with his mom when he snuck a magic 8-ball into the cart because he always wanted one. Well, the mother didn't notice until they got to the cash register, and when she saw it, she got a little bit freaked out. She told her son that this toy was extremely evil, and he should not even be near it, let alone take it home. Well, the kid started crying because he wanted it so bad, and then he said, "But I want to talk to the tall, dark man in the house." So yeah, that would freak me out. By the way, a lot of people use magic 8-balls to like talk to ghosts, like they'll ask the ghost a question, they'll shake up the magic 8-ball to get their answer. Then we have a story called The Whistle Man. The night before Christmas Eve, Walmart was closing a bit earlier in the night due to the holidays. There was a worker who was in charge of locking up, and he decided to do one last walk around the store to make sure that everyone had left. It seemed totally empty until he approached the toy section. He began hearing whistling, and at first he thought that maybe it was one of the toys that had gone off because it sensed him passing. But as he walked closer, he noticed this man standing at the very end of the aisle, and he was looking down at the ground as he walked, and the strangest thing is that he was whistling. He politely told the man that it was closing time and it was time for him to leave, but the man ignored him and kept whistling and walking down the aisles. The employee felt unsettled because he couldn't see the man's face, so after about 5 minutes of trying to get the man to leave, he had to go and get back up because the situation was just so sketchy. Well, when he brought 2 employees back with him to that exact aisle where he saw the man was gone and they couldn't even find evidence of him on the security tape, so yeah. That's creepy.